My husband cheated on me with my sister and apparently, they have a child together. Since she is pregnant, let's get a divorce. My sister, called Sarah, is also living in a fantasy world and it's impossible to talk to her. The law is fair, and those who hurt others must make amends accordingly. I'll make sure they pay for what they've done. My name is Mia, and I work for a real estate company. I married John, whom I've been dating since college, at the age of 27, and I believe I've been leading a fulfilling life. To be honest, I must admit, I lack feminine qualities. Having learned about hierarchies and seniority in sports teams, and mastering the art of navigating through them, I believe I'm utilizing my strengths in sales. Never would I have imagined that someone like me, who loves sports and lacks femininity, would end up dating a man in college and getting married as a working adult. John and I got close after taking the same lecture in college, and that's how our relationship started. The relationship continued, and while I worked in sales at a real estate company, he began working as a temporary employee at a local public organization. It's great that we both found jobs. I've been curious, though, why did you decide to work for a public organization? Were you interested in it? Nah, not really. I just wanted to work somewhere chill. I couldn't understand his mindset for a moment. I'm not really cut out for sales. And working as a temp in a public organization might lead to a permanent position, so I thought it'd be good. Choosing a job with such a casual attitude was something I never knew people did. At the time, discovering this new side of John was something I considered a positive. That's interesting. We work in different places, but let's do our best. Despite both of us being new to working life and struggling, our relationship smoothly progressed to the point where he proposed. Mia, will you marry me? Yes, I'd be happy to. The proposal felt like a dream scenario that only happened in dramas, and I couldn't help but shed tears. Keeping the top sales position in a male-dominated real estate company was partly thanks to John's support. Though continuing to work hard is great, I've also been fantasizing about how fun life could be with children of our own. One day, while having lunch at work, I received an email. The sender was my older sister, Sarah. Sarah was everything I wasn't: cute, graceful, and the epitome of femininity. Though we were different, we've always been close. How about going for afternoon tea at a hotel sometime? I also want to celebrate your company award we talked about. I had just told Sarah about being honored for maintaining the top sales performance for a year. Imagining the time spent chatting with my dear sister over tea, surrounded by jewel-like sweets. During this blissful moment, the conversation shifted to Sarah's love life. You know, my boyfriend recently took me on a drive. He made an original album with my favorite songs. And it matched the beautiful scenery perfectly. That sounds wonderful. Where did you go for the drive? At first glance, the conversation seemed normal, but I felt something was off after asking Sarah. I had met her boyfriend a couple of times before, but was he really like that? The person she described didn't match my memory. When I met him before, he seemed like a struggling student, or kind of nerdy. I remember him having a very studious image. Did he change his look? It's been a while since you last saw him, so yeah, you could say he's changed. Last time, you were complaining that your boyfriend seemed a bit unreliable, right? Has that changed? Was I? Maybe you're confusing him with someone else. Regardless, it's good to see Sarah happy. Lately, John has been complaining about having to work late more often. He used to come home on time, but now he often returns around 9 or 10 p.m., and sometimes he doesn't even call before taking the last bus home. Which he used to do. When I asked him to at least call because of dinner arrangements, he got irritated. Can't help it. I'm working hard as a public employee. Overtime is unavoidable, but I'd still like you to call as before. I don't have time for that. Whether I can become a permanent employee depends on this, so don't meddle. He seemed uncharacteristically angry. Was John always like this? For now, I decided it would be best to leave things be, as provoking the situation further wouldn't benefit anyone. Around that time, Sarah mentioned she wanted to talk about something important. I thought it was a good opportunity, so I suggested we grab a drink at a newly opened bar. John's been coming home late recently, so a night out is fine by me. I heard there's a new place you would like. No. I have some errands to run at night. Would it be okay if we just had tea during the day? Sarah seemed hesitant, but there must have been something on her mind. Luckily, I had some compensatory leave accumulated, so we agreed to meet at a cafe during a weekday afternoon. When I arrived, Sarah was already there, looking a bit under the weather. If you weren't feeling well, you could have told me. We could have rescheduled. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. There was something I really wanted to tell you today. I wondered what was so urgent that it couldn't wait. What is it? What's going on? I'm pregnant. I wanted to tell you first, Mia. Knowing that Sarah had always wanted to get married and have children soon, I was genuinely happy for her. Congratulations. Your boyfriend knows, right? He's been busy lately, and I don't want to bother him, so I haven't told him yet. But I need to find the right time soon. Maybe marriage is next. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to meet your baby. I returned home filled with joy from the happy news. Since John has been coming home late recently, I decided to celebrate by myself. I bought snacks on my way home, planning to indulge in some happy drinking alone, but to my surprise, John was already home. If you were going to be home early, you should have told me. Should I make something quick for dinner for you? No, it's okay. I need to talk to you, Mia. You too? I also have something to say. Sarah, you see. Cutting off my story, he presented a piece of paper labeled as a divorce application. Is this some kind of joke? What does this mean? I've been really busy with work lately, and I feel terrible for causing you so much trouble, Mia. I think it's about time I really focused on my job and aimed for a permanent position. John was avoiding my gaze as he spoke hesitantly. Even more reason for me to support you, not for us to get a divorce. It's been tough for both of us, and I think it's time we went our separate ways. He handed me the already filled out divorce application, and I was too shocked to process anything. The joy from celebrating Sarah's pregnancy was suddenly overshadowed by this devastating news. Wait a minute. Did I do something wrong? No, it's just my selfish desire to focus on my work. I'm sorry. Where did all the happiness go? He's been busy with work and causing me trouble? He doesn't want to cause any more trouble? Perhaps due to the stress of the unexpected events, I started feeling unwell. I haven't caught a cold recently, but now I'm feeling sick. Once I'm better, let's have a proper talk, John. I hesitated due to unfinished work, but performing well was impossible under these conditions. So I decided to leave work early after consulting with my boss. Upon finally arriving home, I sensed someone's presence in the supposedly empty house. I hadn't mentioned my early departure to John. Wait, isn't John supposed to be at work today? I haven't heard anything about him working from home. Not wanting to startle anyone and thinking it might be my imagination, I quietly opened the front door, only to find a pair of women's pumps that weren't mine. Seeing the unfamiliar shoes made me uneasy. Could it be? Did he suddenly bring up divorce yesterday because he's having an affair? I approached the living room as quietly as possible, and from the other side, I could hear voices. Is that John's voice? And no way. The voice speaking with John was unmistakably Sarah's, someone I knew all too well. I've already handed over the divorce papers, so once she signs and submits them, everything should be sorted out. But what if you end up being portrayed as the bad guy and she demands alimony? Sarah whispered. For John confidently stated, his voice loud enough to be heard through the door. That's not an issue. I've already told her how sorry I am for being so busy with work and causing her trouble. Smart move. So you made it sound like the divorce is for her benefit, saying you're struggling, it's not her fault. And you believe it's best for her if you separate. That's clever. John, probably feeling good about himself with Sarah's encouragement, seemed to be breathing heavily with confidence. Yeah, well, years of working as a public employee teach you how to deal with people and navigate through situations. She probably hasn't caught on. Especially since she's always so focused on her job, John boasted. Absolutely. Even the last time we had tea together, all she could talk about was her job and sales achievements, Sarah added. I'm likely to become a permanent employee next year, so the salary will be better, and we can provide a good education for our child, John stated. Assuming his future promotion. John, still a temporary employee who can't secure a permanent position without recognition at work, seemed already convinced of his imminent promotion. My ex-boyfriend got crushed by his toxic workplace and got caught up dreaming about becoming a lawyer, always studying. I wanted him to be more independent, but meeting you has made everything better, Sarah said, which took a moment to comprehend. Sarah had a boyfriend, whom I had met a few times. Wait, did Sarah break up with her boyfriend? But what about her recent pregnancy announcement? I thought, puzzled, as I hadn't heard anything about a breakup. Pregnancy usually implies it's with the boyfriend she mentioned. But now, the voices I heard were Sarah's and John's. Could it be? The child is John's? I wondered, filled with disbelief. But I knew I couldn't just stand there and do nothing. Carefully, I took out my phone and discreetly started recording. Having evidence could be useful later on. How ridiculous. I've worried myself sick for nothing, I thought, determined not to let them get away with their happiness unchallenged. I felt they needed to face appropriate consequences for their actions before I could move on. Even so, charging at them head-on as an amateur would be futile. It's best to leave it to the professionals, I concluded. It seemed they had wrapped up their conversation and casually started watching TV. With the evidence I had just recorded, I felt somewhat prepared for any eventualities. I remembered seeing a law firm sign during my sales rounds and decided to seek advice there first. What should I do about those two? I need to make a call, I thought, quietly leaving the house to avoid making any noise. After briefly explaining the situation over the phone, I was told they could see me right away as there was an available slot, so I headed straight to the law firm. It was my first visit to a law firm. A place I'd only seen in dramas and thought I'd never need to visit myself. Feeling nervous, I hesitantly opened the door to the law firm, only to be greeted by an unexpected figure. Nathan, long time no see. But why are you here? I asked in surprise. Ah, you must be Sarah's sister, Mia, right? It's been a while. I was the one who answered your call, but I didn't realize it was you. Nathan explained, standing there. Nathan, Sarah's boyfriend, whom I had met a couple of times before, looked completely different from the struggling student I remembered. If I recall correctly, the last time we met was when I was still struggling with the bar exams, he mentioned. I'm surprised. How come you're here? Nathan scratched his head with a shy smile. I finally passed the bar exam and managed to secure a job here. That's great news. Congratulations. You've changed so much, I almost didn't recognize you, I complimented. Genuinely impressed by his transformation. Nathan blushed slightly, that's kind of you to say. So, what brings you to a law firm? What's the matter? It seemed Nathan was unaware of the situation. Hesitantly, I decided to reveal everything about John and Sarah's affair, showing him the recordings and explaining the sudden divorce proposal from John, Sarah's pregnancy news, the discovery of their affair and the child's true paternity. And how Sarah referred to Nathan as her ex-boyfriend. I understand now. Indeed, I've been out of work for a while, causing trouble for Sarah. I apologize for suddenly bringing this up. Noting Nathan's conflicted expression. Ex-boyfriend, huh? Are you still seeing Sarah? I asked. We were meeting, but she's been turning me down lately, and I thought something was off. Nathan explained, making me realize the miscommunication between him and Sarah. I was also busy with the bar exam, and Sarah said she was busy with work, so I reduced how often I reached out. But I see now what was really happening, he reflected. You didn't know about your sister or the pregnancy, I noted. Right. She told me we might not be able to meet for a while, so I was planning to tell her about my new job once I settled in. Nathan shared, torn between his roles as Sarah's boyfriend and a new lawyer. We might have a case with the evidence you've gathered, but it would be more solid if we ensure they can't deny it before bringing it to us. Nathan advised. I suspected as much. The evidence might be too weak as it stands, I conceded. Nathan then offered a helpful suggestion. Why not use a detective from a firm we work with? It made sense, charging in with what I had might only yield a minimal settlement. If I'm not careful, I might end up not causing them any real damage. If you recommend it, Nathan, I might consider hiring a detective, I contemplated. I can't just sit back and do nothing, Nathan stated. It might be a roundabout way, but I decided to hire the detective firm Nathan recommended to gather more substantial evidence. The detective collected an impressive amount of evidence within a few days. Enough for Nathan to confidently say it would turn the tide in our favor. A few days later, armed with the evidence, I called John and Sarah to a diner. Telling John it was to finalize the divorce papers and telling Sarah it was to give her a pregnancy gift, which they both readily agreed to. Now that we're all here, you both know what I want to say, don't you? I began, noticing their fleeting discomfort before they regained their composure. I need to go to the hospital after this, so let's make this quick, Sarah rushed. In a position to say that? Do you understand what you've done? I countered. Sarah looked at me in shock, while John glared. I left work for this, thinking it was just the final check for the divorce papers. Enough is enough. John complained. It's not just about work, maybe you should be more concerned about something else. I hinted, pointing at Sarah's stomach. Whose child is it, Sarah? I pressed. It's Nathan's, of course. You know we've been dating. We were even talking about it possibly being time, she claimed. And what part of the divorce papers did you want me to check? I asked, before laying out the detective's findings on the table. Enough. The investigation showed the child is yours, John, I revealed. Who would say such a thing? Stop joking. Sarah scoffed, laughing dismissively. I have photos of you two at the hospital. Explain this, I demanded. Oh, so it's come to this? What's with that face? Puzzled by John's smug expression. Pregnancy means divorce. John's a public employee, and though he's non-permanent now, he'll likely become permanent, providing stability. We don't want our child to suffer financially, she continued. Sarah explained, leaning on John and speaking sweetly. It's your fault for not being feminine enough, always focused on work. I don't care about your salary or bonuses, John blamed. You think you can just hurt someone, have a child, marry, and live happily? Without even filing the divorce papers yet? I challenged. It can't be helped. The child is innocent, and you never said you wanted kids. I like children, and a moderate workload is just right for me. I did not expect John to justify himself. So, it's with Sarah, then? I had met Mia's family before, and Sarah came to my counter for work. That's when I felt it was meant to be. That's hardly a reason. Just because there's infidelity and a child doesn't mean you can just say goodbye and expect everything to be settled. I retorted, seeing John still holding onto a bold stance, perhaps thinking he could outtalk me or had some leverage. You wouldn't understand, being so mannish. A cute girl will surely be born from a gentle woman like Sarah. John shot back. Stability is what men need, right? Struggling as a student and working part-time isn't in vogue anymore. And chasing an impossible dream like becoming a lawyer is just laughable, Sarah added, dismissing the idea. I took a moment and sighed softly. It was hard to believe that my husband and my own sister held such views. Is that all you have to say? As adults, you should clean up your own mess. We'll discuss alimony and everything else through a lawyer. I stated firmly. All you talk about is money. You money grubber. You should be grateful I'm considering a divorce now, John retorted. Considering a divorce early? Cheating for no good reason and then unilaterally deciding on divorce doesn't make sense. I've already consulted a lawyer, so we'll see what happens next, I replied calmly. As I gestured slightly, Nathan approached from behind. Nathan was aware of the situation, but hearing it from the people involved must have been a shock. To think you were this kind of person. Now I see how you mocked me when I was struggling and studying, Nathan expressed his disappointment. No way, it was just a joke, just a bit of family banter. Why are you taking it so seriously? Sarah tried to downplay her words. Well, it doesn't matter. Work is work, and as the lawyer for Mia, who is seeking alimony, that's all we need to move forward, Nathan said. Making it clear it was a professional matter now. The mention of work seemed to cast a shadow over Sarah's face momentarily. What? Work? What do you mean? Stop lying, Sarah demanded an explanation. I passed the bar exam this year and am currently working at a law firm as a trainee, Nathan revealed his new status. Sarah looked as if she wanted to take her words back, but it was too late. I wanted to talk to you properly and discuss our future, waiting for the right moment, but this is a shock. If only you had told me sooner you became a lawyer. What would you have done if I told you? Pretend the affair never happened and go back to how things were. Nathan looks as if he is about to break a blood vessel in his head. It seemed ridiculous to have believed in someone with such views, as Nathan's expression suggested he felt foolish for trusting Sarah. So it's your fault for chasing your dreams and studying, leaving her alone, and that's why this happened. Are you saying it's my fault? You're confident you can make her happy, then? Nathan seemed at a loss for words, almost as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. I work for an organization, and it's not like organizations go bankrupt that easily, so my future's secure. I earn a decent salary. So I can definitely make Sarah happy, John claimed confidently. Well, if that's the case, then this will be quick. We'll send you the details of the alimony later for your review. Hearing the actual possibility of alimony claims, both John and Sarah started to panic. Mia, you already have plenty of money, right? Weren't you going to celebrate your own sister's marriage? John tried to guilt-trip me. Yeah, I'm practically just a part-timer at my job now, I don't have that kind of money. Hey, remember that dress I gave you for your birthday? Can't we just call it even with that? Sarah suggested, as if a dress could compensate for everything. As if a dress could make up for a divorce. How much more could they belittle others? The audacity of thieves. Cheating and stealing someone's husband and acting like there's no harm done, I countered. It's your fault for not keeping him interested, for being taken away. Didn't you know John prefers more feminine women? Sarah tried to shift the blame onto me. What are you saying? That's like saying it's not the shoplifter's fault for stealing, but the store's fault for being robbed. It doesn't matter if you're a full-time employee or a part-timer, a woman or a man. If you do something wrong, you have to make amends, I argued. I pulled up my phone and showed them a web page listing the typical compensation amounts for adultery and mental distress. Letting them know I was serious. Well, if you're prepared to deal with the consequences, then I suppose it can't be helped. John seems to be doing well as a distinguished organization employee, so I'm sure you'll manage somehow, I said with a hint of sarcasm. Organization employee or not, I don't have a fancy title, and this amount. You don't feel even a little bit responsible for lowering it? John pleaded, looking up at me. But there was no room for pity. Not at all. I've done nothing to be ashamed of in our marriage. How dare you? Sure, we've had our share of inconveniences living under the same roof, but that's no reason for an affair with my sister. Nor a reason to reduce the alimony, I continued, standing my ground. After leaving the diner, I went straight to proceed the divorce. Now I am officially divorced. What a relief. I'm better off without him, I sighed, feeling a weight lifted off my shoulders. The proceedings that followed the divorce happened swiftly. Although Nathan, being a junior lawyer, didn't take on my case as the main attorney, he was actively involved in supporting the lead lawyer. Thanks to Nathan's efforts in connecting me with a highly competent senior lawyer who specialized in divorce and infidelity cases, I was able to secure an alimony that exceeded the standard amount. It really makes a difference when someone understands the pain of others. And to think I trusted. I mused. Grateful for Nathan's empathy and support. It seems Sarah had a tough time after everything unfolded. Her family, suspecting something was amiss when my divorce occurred around the same time, confronted her and ultimately disowned her after learning the whole story. Despite being considered beautiful and a good listener, leading to a wide circle of friends, Sarah faced a series of fallouts with longtime friends due to the scandal. One friend, after inquiring about her gleeful marriage announcement, realized the groom was my husband, leading to widespread knowledge of the incident and Sarah being labeled a homewrecker, causing others to distance themselves from her. Everyone's avoiding me. Isn't that terrible? Say something to them, Mia, Sarah pleaded. What can I possibly say after you did what you did, got pregnant, and stole your sister's husband? It's shameful, I responded. John, too, felt the repercussions at his workplace once the cause of our divorce, which involved an affair with his sister-in-law, was leaked. He had assumed he would become a permanent employee in the next round of personnel changes. But the organization decided they couldn't retain someone involved in such a notorious rumor. We met once after the divorce to discuss alimony, but it was a disastrous encounter. What should I do? I've been fired from the organization. I can't even pay the alimony, what now? John lamented. I thought organizations hardly ever fire people unless for a significant reason? Well, you brought this upon yourself with your actions, I remarked. His lack of ethics forced them to corner him into resigning voluntarily. A friend mentioned hearing an employee causing a commotion loud enough to be heard from the service counter, and I was certain it was John. Can't you somehow explain it away? He desperately asked. Wait a minute, what do you expect me to explain? I'm struggling to understand how you could even think like that. I expressed my disbelief. It's true what they say, you can't keep people from talking. The story of the man who pursued his sister-in-law and ended up fathering a child with her spread rapidly, leaving both of them nearly unemployable. Nowhere will hire me, I have no money, I've got nothing left. What should I do? John despaired. Well, you still have Sarah and the child you love, right? There's nothing I can do for you now. Just make sure to take responsibility, I told him, offering no sympathy. John became an outcast, frowned upon just by the mention of his name. Given the situation that made it seem almost impossible for him to remain in his hometown. He still couldn't easily give up his home due to the decades-long mortgage remaining on it, and so he continues to live there, enduring the judgment of others. After divorcing John, I decided to devote myself to my work more than ever before. My efforts to improve my sales performance continued, and I even started attending business school on my days off to further my career. Fortunately, during my time at business school, I connected with a CEO of a large corporation, leading to an unexpected job offer. I was thrilled not only to be recognized for my abilities but also grateful for the opportunity to test my skills in a new environment. The company is significantly large, with the potential to nearly double my current salary, making this opportunity attractive both professionally and financially. My skills as a salesperson are sharp. Seizing this chance to reach new heights, I feel my life is now more fulfilling than ever.